Time for convening having arrived. The Senate will come to order. Would ask that unauthorized visitors exit chamber at this time. And the Senate will come to order. Chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 56th.
Thank you, Mr. President. The journal has been read and found to be correct.
Thank you, Senator, for your good works on the journal. Is there objection with dispensing of the reading of the journal? The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators having bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Bill 164 by Senators Miller of the 40th and others, a bill to entitled Act Amend Chapter 24 of Title 33 of the OCGA relating to general insurance provisions so as to prohibit certain insurers from imposing a co-payment, co-insurance, or office visit deductible amount greater than such charge.
Insurance and labor.
Senate Bill 160 by Senator Ligon of the 3rd and others, a bill to entitled Act Amend Article 2 of Chapter 8 of Title 12 of the OCGA.
Natural resources.
Senate Bill 166 by Senator Unterman of the 45th, a bill to entitled Act Amend Chapter 26 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to nurses so as to enter
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 167 by Senator Hill of the 6th and others, a bill to entitled Act Amend
Finance Committee.
Senate Bill 168 by Senators Miller of the 49th and others, a bill to entitled Act Amend Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 49 of the OCGA relating to child abuse so as to extend the
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 169, Senator Kirk of the 13th and others, bill
Public Safety.
Senate Bill 170 by Senators Hill of the 6th and others, bill to entitled Act to Amend Chapter 5.
Special Judiciary.
Senate Bill 171 by Senator Jones of the 10th and others, a bill to entitled Act to Amend Chapter 10 of Title 25 of the OCGA relating to regulation
Public
of fireworks.
Safety.
Senate Bill 172 by Senator Panner of the 42nd and others, a bill entitled Act to Amend Article 2 of Chapter 7, Title 40 of the OCGA relating to imposition rate.
Finance.
Senate Bill 173 by Senator Jones of the 25th and others, bill entitled Act to Amend Chapter 41 of Title 30.
Insurance and labor.
Senate Bill 174 by Senator Kennedy of the 18th and others, bill entitled Act to Provide for Reform for Individual
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 175 by Senator Kennedy of the 18th and others, bill entitled Act
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 176 by Senator Kennedy the 18th and others, bill entitled Act to Amend Title 17 of Chapter 5 of Title 4 of the OCGA.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 177 by Senator McCoon of the 29th, bill entitled Act to Amend Article 1 of Chapter 3 of Title 12 of the OCGA relating to general provisions regarding parks, historic areas, memorials, and recreation so as to revise provisions of law regarding the use or possession of any handgun in a park, historic site, or recreational area to amend Part 3 of
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 178 by Senator McCoon of the 29th, bill entitled Act to Amend Chapter 1
Rules Committee.
Senate Bill 179 by Senator McCoon of the 29th, bill
Rules Committee.
Senate Resolution 222 by Senator Alba of the 56th and others, a resolution.
Finance.
Senate Resolution 224 by Senator Gannon of the 47th and others, a
Regulated Industries.
Senate Resolution 227 by Senator Beach of the 21st, a resolution committing the Georgia.
Transportation.
Senate Resolution 228 by Senator Jones of the 25th and
State
others.
Institution Properties.
Mr. President, that concludes the order.
First reading and reference of House bills.
House Bill 42 by Representative Lumsden of the 12th and others, a bill entitled Act to Amend Chapter 2 of Title 20.
Ethics Committee.
House Bill 143 by Representatives Williamson of the 115th and others, bill entitled Act to Amend Chapter 1 of Title 7 of the OCGA.
Banks and Financial Institutions.
House Bill 169 by Representative Corbett of the 174th and others, a bill entitled
Slow-go local bill.
House Bill 183 by Representatives Dickey of the 140th and others, bill
Natural Resources.
House Bill 284 by Representatives Hardin of the 148th and others, a bill
Slow-go local bill.
House Bill 294 by Representative Lauricia of the 169th and others.
Slow-go local bill.
House Bill 295 by Representative Lauricia of the 169th.
Slow-go local bill.
House Bill 296 by Representative Lauricia of the 100th.
Slow-go local bill.
Mr. President, that concludes the order.
Secretary will read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government Operations has had under consideration the following legislation, instructing me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 124 do pass. House Bill 272 do pass. Respectively submitted by Senator Albers of the 56th. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor has had under consideration the following legislation, has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 118 do pass, respectively submitted by Senator Jones of the 25th. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Public Safety has had under consideration the following legislation, instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 49 do pass, respectively submitted by Senator Harper of the 7th. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Tourism has had under consideration the following legislation, instructing me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 2 do pass by substitute, respectively submitted by Senator Dugan of the 30th. And Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services has done under consideration the following legislation and instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 106 do pass, Senate Bill 125 do pass, Senate Bill 137 do pass, respectively submitted by Senator Unterman of the 45th. That concludes the order.
Secretary will read the bills for the second time.
Senate Bill 3 by Senator Tippins of the 37th and others, creating opportunities needed now to expand credential training, Connect Act, enact. Senate Bill 117 by Senator Martin of the 9th and others, Georgia Technology Authority, a definition of the term agency, change, establishment to certain policies and standards used by all agencies provide. That concludes the order.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 15th. The 5th, without objection, the senator from the 5th will be excused. Chair recognizes senator from the 55th.
Morning, Mr. President.
Morning.
I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 41st.
41st, the minority leader, without objection, the senator from the 41st will be excused. Chair recognizes now senator from the 33rd.
Good morning, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 35th.
35th?
Yes, sir.
Without objection, senator from the 35th be excused. Chair recognizes senator from the 27th.
I would ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 45th.
45th, without objection, senator from the 45th will be excused. Any other motions to excuse? Any other motions? Senators, please signify your presence by voting the A switch. Secretary will unlock the machine. It is now time for the morning devotion. Morning devotion would ask that all senators please take your seats and cease all audible conversation at this time. We are preparing the Senate chamber for our morning devotion. Senators, please take your seats and cease all audible conversation at this time. Doorkeepers, please secure the chamber. It is now my distinct honor to call upon the distinguished senator from the 50th to lead us in our pledge and introduce our very special chaplain of the day. Senator?
Please join me in a pledge to the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our state flag.
Pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag, to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, and moderation.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. It is an honor for me to introduce our chaplain of the day today. Our chaplain of the day is Bishop Mike Franklin, better known as Pastor Mike. Before I introduce him, I would like to recognize the guests that he has with him over here: David Foster, Dr. Larry Peavy, Dr. Judy Taylor, as well as a group that he's brought with him from Habersham County, leadership of Habersham County. Would you please stand in the gallery and let us recognize you? Pastor Mike has a long resume, and I'm not going to take a lot of time going over that with you. I can just tell you he is a real leader in the Habersham County community. He has been the senior pastor at the Torch Worship Center for the past 16 years. He has served in a variety of he's had a variety of civic responsibilities during his career. His church truly is a light on the hill in Habersham County. He is a family man. He and his wife have 3 children, and they have several grandchildren. So at this time, please welcome Pastor Mike Franklin to the State Senate.
What an honor it is to be with you today, and a special thanks to my faithful friend and the diligent servant leader from Senate District 50, John Wilkinson. He's an inspiration to many in our community, and I appreciate the integrity with which he stands for what he believes in. Because of his diligent effort, I am given today this incredible honor to be in front of you, this distinguished group of leaders, and to our Honorable Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, also one of my friends, to the distinguished senators on this floor and all those who aid in this process, and you welcomed guests, thank you. It is a tremendous privilege to address you today. Let me say it to you this way. Any way you cut the cake this morning, this is a special group of people. Each and every one of you were chosen. You were chosen by God. You were chosen by the people of your district. And you were placed where you are for such a time as this. And the role you play and the responsibilities you assume, they force you to deal with policy as you see it for the best of Georgia, for the best of its citizenry. And I realize you deal with issues of huge complexity, and you make difficult choices every day, and you deal with conflicting opinions, and regardless of what decision you make, somebody's going to be upset with you at the end of the day. And to be successful, you have to be equipped to face inevitable conflict. Does the Bible give you any advice on dealing with the conflict you inevitably are going to face? The answer is a resounding yes. When you look in Romans chapter 12, verses 17 and 18, the text simply says this: never pay back evil for evil to anyone, but as much as is possible and as much as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm really thankful that God didn't just say, live at peace with everyone. Because you may or may not be like me. I find some people that it's very difficult to live at peace with. But he gave us 2 caveats. As much as it depends on you, and as much as it is possible, live at peace with everyone. What's he saying? It's simple. Some people realize this. Some people will not allow you to be at peace with them. No matter how hard you try, you won't be able to control their responses. The only person you can control is you. And so as far as it depends on you, live at peace with them. So what does that mean for you and me? It means that you and I have a responsibility to take the initiative in any situation of conflict we ever deal with. We are to be the stand-up guys who lead the way in resolving conflict. The greatest outline of resolving conflict that I've ever seen is in Ephesians chapter 4. It begins in verse 25 and runs through verse 32. Because I'm limited to just a few short minutes, I'm only going to pick up a couple of highlights there, but I would challenge you to study that passage out later. What verse 25 says is, therefore, each of you must put off falsehood. Each of you must speak truthfully with his neighbor. God didn't give you an option. God didn't give us a way out. He said you must do this. You have to take the initiative. Don't wait till they come to you. Don't ignore the conflict or deny the conflict or push it under a carpet or pretend that the conflict doesn't exist. If there's an elephant in the room, deal with it. Don't be what I call the artful dodger And there's a lot of those around, right? Just know this, conflict is never resolved accidentally. Have you ever heard this, time heals everything? That's not true. If time healed everything, then all you would do is go sit in the doctor's waiting room. That's not what you do. Because you know that actually time with an open wound is only going to cause it to fester. When you have conflict, if you let it fester, it'll turn to anger. Anger will turn to resentment. Resentment will turn to bitterness. So take the initiative. Each of you must. You have to step forward and lead the way. It's not going to resolve itself, so deal with it. And as you deal with it, remember perspective matters. In this passage about conflict, the Apostle Paul outlines for us in verse 28 a principle. He says, let him who steals steal no longer. What's he supposed to do? Go to work. Do something useful with your hands that you may have something to share with those in need. When there's a relational conflict, your perspective matters greatly. So in the context of conflict, the scripture says this, if you're a stealer, if you're someone who is a thief, stop. Why? Because stealing is a self-focused behavior. It's the attention on me and only I matter. It's one of those contexts where your perspective says the other person really doesn't matter to me at all, and what they think about it is not an issue for me. So what's the alternative? Go to work. Do something productive with your hands. Take the fruit of your labor and share it with people that are in need. Translation, become others-oriented in your perspective anytime you're dealing with conflict. How often are we selfish in conflict? We steal people's joy. We steal people's peace. We steal all kinds of things from others because right now I'm all I'm thinking about. If we're ever going to deal with conflict, we've got to work to understand others. Recently in a wedding, an elderly couple came in, and as they came in, you could see the tension in their faces and the tension in their body language, at least I could. They walked about 3/4 of the way in, and the old man sat back here on my left, and he just eased in off the aisle. And when his wife came, I noticed that she skipped a seat between him and her and sat down. So here's this elderly couple that are obviously married, that are obviously in a point of tension, and she sits one seat apart from him at the wedding ceremony. A young minister was involved in that ceremony, and his job was to talk about the fact that some things are not worth arguing about. As he started talking about some things that just simply are not worth arguing about, I watched the old man. His head just began to drop a little bit as the young man started talking. His shoulders began to slump. He began to loosen up in his body language. It was clear the Holy Spirit was getting next to him. After this young man finished, it hadn't been 30 seconds till the old man just slid over one chair next to his wife. And when he did that, I thought to myself, man, that's it. Who is going to move the chair over? Who's going to say, I'm going to stop seeing this my way and find out where you're coming from? Who's going to go and say, I'm going to take your perspective? Philippians 2:4 says each of us should look not only to our own interest, but to the interest of others. Proverbs 12:18 says reckless words, they pierce like a sword. But the tongue of the wise person brings healing. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32 of this very passage we've studied today says, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving one another just as God in Christ forgave you. Work at reconciliation, man. Establishing the relationship without trying to resolve all the issues. You'll never agree on everything. None of you in this room is going to agree with one another on everything. Learn to disagree without being disagreeable. That's called wisdom. Learn to find unity without having uniformity. That's called wisdom. Learn to focus on relationships more than you focus on issues. That's called wisdom in certain settings. In a simple word, we live in a world that's filled with conflict and disagreement and anger and prejudice on every side. Everywhere, there are things that will divide us. I challenge you this morning in dealing with conflict to become an agent of reconciliation. That's why Christ sent us into the world, to reconcile people to God. Be a bridge builder, not a wall builder. Let me pray for you today. Father, I come to you with these individuals who have been laden with this awesome task, this awesome responsibility of leading this state. God, they make decisions every day that are more complicated and more complex than most of us people outside this house will ever even begin to understand. And they need direction, and they need wisdom, they need guidance, they need the grace of your hand to somehow strengthen them and empower them. They need you to speak into their lives and to guide them so that they make decisions that are completely consistent with your will. And God, as they work their way through life, dealing with all the conflict that comes to them merely because of the task they've been assigned. God, as they deal with that conflict, give them the wisdom to be someone who deals efficiently and effectively with that conflict. Give them the grace to overcome. Give them the grace to take the first step. Give them the wisdom, Father, to lead rather than follow. And let them be people who build reconciliation, not just resolution. When knowing that resolution will never be reached in all the issues, reconciliation of relationship can. Grant us grace to forgive one another, bless one another, and as much as it depends on us, to live at peace with one another. I believe you for that, Father, and I thank you for these men and women who work in this chamber, and I pray that your hand of blessing would rest on them, their families, their extended families, and everything they touch. We pray it in Jesus' name. Amen.
I could have the Senate's attention for just a moment, we would like to present the Doctor of the Day, and it's my honor now to call upon the distinguished senator from the 6th to present the Doctor of the Day.
Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to present to you Dr. Dana Nexshoe, who is board certified by the American Board of Internal Medicine, and she has been practicing medicine for the last 15 years. She completed her residency in internal medicine at Inglewood Hospital and Medical Center, affiliated with the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, New York. During those years, she received the Joseph Caldebetano Award for Professionalism in Medicine for her work and for treating students from the Mount Sinai School of Medicine. In her free time, Dr. Nexshoe enjoys spending time with her daughter, little dog, and friends. She loves learning new things, and she has lately included dance lessons and traveling. It's my honor to present to you Dr. Dana Nexshoe.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here and help keep me healthy. I hope you won't need me and you won't see me downstairs, but if you need anything, please come see us in the clinic section. Thank you and have a great day, and thank you for your great work.
Wonderful, wonderful. Good, we're going to do a picture. We have some special guests we'd like to recognize. Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 82 by Senators Wilkinson of the 50th, Burke of the 11th, Anderson of the 24th, and others. A resolution recognizing February 15th, 2017 as Georgia Farm Bureau Federation Day at the state capitol and for other purposes. Whereas the Georgia Farm Bureau Federation was formed in 1937 as a voice for production, agriculture, and legislative affairs. And whereas from its humble beginnings in Northwest Georgia, the Georgia Farm Bureau Federation has grown to 158 county chapters with a current membership of 302,347. Led by volunteer farmer members, and whereas this outstanding Federation of Georgia Farmers has become a diversified organization which focuses on service to its members and the improvement of Georgia agriculture, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize February 15, 2017 as Georgia Farmer Bureau Federation Day at the state capitol. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? Chair is none. The resolution is adopted. It is always a day in which we are excited to recognize Farm Bureau and the wonderful work that they do all across our state. They are a wonderful organization that advocates for a more prosperous state for all. And to recognize our distinguished guest, I call upon the Distinguished Agricultural Committee Chairman, the senator from the 50th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, I know all of you are familiar with Georgia Farm Bureau, our state's largest farm organization. We are pleased to have the leadership from Georgia Farm Bureau here with us today. I'd also like to mention to you that they will be hosting their luncheon at the depot beginning at 11:30, and there'll be people here. There are farm bureaus in every county in the state, and there'll be representation from all over the state. So I would encourage you to come and be a part of that lunch. I would like to introduce the people that we have with us here today. Farm Bureau has 3 vice presidents from 3 parts of the state and a president. So Bernard Sims is the vice president from North Georgia. Daniel Johnson is the new vice president, newly elected from South Georgia. Robert Fountain is the first vice president from Middle Georgia. And at this time, I'm going to present this resolution to the president of Georgia Farm Bureau, Gerald Long, and call on Gerald to make some comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Lieutenant Governor, and Senators. Thank y'all for what y'all do each and every day representing Georgia. And you're standing over in that side room waiting to come in, listening to the minister and the comments he made. Yes, y'all have a great responsibility. And this organization, Georgia Farm Bureau, we have a responsibility to farmers all across the state of Georgia. And we all know that agriculture is the #1 industry in Georgia. But you know, it takes people like y'all, the senators, the representatives, for us to work together to be sure that we protect the economic engines of Georgia, agriculture being one of them. But it's very important that we all work together. As Chairman Wilkins said, I am Gerald Long, President of Georgia Farm Bureau. I come from Decatur County, Bainbridge, Georgia. Senator Dean Burke is what I call my senator, okay? And we certainly appreciate what he does up here. A little bit about our farming operation. We are a family farm operation, diversified, and I could not be standing before you today if I did not have a very understanding wife that's willing to stay home and help run the farm along with our oldest son, Justin, and his family. As I said, diversified, we raise peanuts, corn, cotton, cow-calf operation, sort of a unique 50-something different varieties of vegetables. So you can see we are very involved. And we all know, as of yesterday was a great day for not just Georgia agriculture, but all of Georgia on the special master's ruling on water. Water plays a very important role all over Georgia, but particularly in southwest Georgia that I am directly affected and involved in. But you know, we're here as support to you, as legislators, to look after the interest of Georgia. And I think y'all understand that our legislative department is here for any advice, any help that they can give y'all to represent our different areas of Georgia. As Senator Chairman Wilkins said a while ago, we will be having a luncheon starting at 11:30. Our program will start at 12:15, where Chairman Wilkerson and Chairman McCall from the House Agriculture Committee will be speaking to us. Again, thank each one of y'all for what y'all do. Y'all have a very large responsibility. And yes, y'all have to make some tough decisions, and a lot of times I know it's a thankless job that you have. But thank you very much.
Well done, Gerald. That was great. Let's do a picture down on the steps right here. Chair recognizes the minority leader, the senator from the 41st.
Thank you, Mr. President. Are the Tucker Middle School students still up there? If they are, raise their hand. There you are. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, every day we talk about education, and we know the biggest role we've got here is try to support great students like you from Tucker Middle School and other young people up here in the audience. To my colleagues, I want to tell you that Tucker Middle School is an outstanding school. I went to the web and found a list of awards they've gotten, from National Honors Chorus to Robotics Team Awards and Teamwork Technical Training, Reading Bowl County and Region winners. I mean, too many accomplishments to go into. But the truth is that we need to work hard to make sure the young people from Tucker Middle School and other students from around this state who want to work, who are working hard to make their education something that will propel them to a great future, we need to work hard to make sure that works out. I want to thank Tucker Middle School and their teachers for being here and their sponsors. So if you would stand up and we'll give you a little applause. Thank you, Tucker Middle.
We have another special group we would like to recognize. The Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 178 by Senator Tippins of the 37th, a resolution honoring and recognizing Marietta City Schools for being named Georgia Charter System Innovator of the Year and for other purposes. Whereas in 2016, Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle named Marietta City Schools as the Charter System Innovator of the Year, and whereas Marietta City Schools actively remove barriers to success so that every student can not only thrive but graduate college and career ready. And whereas chosen for their graduate Marietta Student Success Center, Marietta City Schools created this one-of-a-kind program at Marietta High School. And whereas in partnership with 37 community organizations, the Graduate Marietta Student Success Center is providing its students post-secondary preparation, virtual learning labs, and other services. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body honor and recognize Marietta City Schools for being awarded the title of 2016 Charter System Innovator of the Year and for its dedicated service to the community and state. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. We are very, very honored to have Marietta present with us today. They are actually a recipient of the Innovation of the Year Award, doing remarkable, remarkable work as it pertains to the future of our children. We're very honored to have them in our presence today and very appreciative for the wonderful work in which they do on a daily basis. To speak to the resolution and recognize our special guest, it's my honor now to call upon the distinguished senator from the 37th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. It's my great honor today to be able to introduce to you representatives of the Marietta City School System and from Marietta High School. People ask me quite often, how do we need to restructure schools that are struggling, and how do we meet the needs of students? I think today you will see what the solution is, and that's involving the school, with the community, with the parents. It's my privilege to introduce today Dr. Grant Rivera. He is the new superintendent of Marietta City Schools. Mr. Randy Weiner, chairman of the Marietta Board of Education. Dr. Dayton Hibbs, Associate Superintendent, Ms. Lee Coburn, who's the Director of Graduate Marietta Student Success Center. Remember that because you're going to see and hear a lot more about it. Mr. Gabe Carmona, the Principal of Marietta High School, and last but not least, Dr. Emily Lembeck. Dr. Lembeck has been with us before. She was Superintendent of Marietta City Schools for almost 12 years. During that time, she was named Superintendent of the Year. This past year, Marietta High School received the Innovator of the Year Award for the Georgia Charter Systems. The program that they have instituted is almost unique in its approach, because so many times we talk about how are we going to do this or how are we going to do that. The beautiful part of the Marietta Success Center is it started assessing with the assessment of the needs of the students and the hindrances they had to graduation. I want to give a round of applause to Dr. Emily Lembeck for setting the stage for this great innovation that was done without funding. It was their own plan. They didn't have to have special legislation. They operated within the flexibility of a charter district to accomplish this. I want to give a hand to all of these people, and especially Dr. Lembeck and Lee Coburn, who headed this program up. And she's going to tell us about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Tippins, and good morning, members of the chamber. My name is Lee Colburn. For 10 years, I was the principal of Marietta High School, and now I am the proud director of the Graduate Marietta Student Success Center. A little over 3 years ago, Dr. Lembeck, and at that time, our chair of our school board, Randy Weiner, asked me what we were going to do to continue what we were showing, which was momentum and growth in graduation rates, and what was going to be our next step doing that. We then launched into 2 years of research within our school, interviewing thousands of students and family members within our community. And we asked our students what we could do to move them across that threshold and across that stage to graduation. What we did not hear was as important as what we heard. What we did not hear was many of the things that our funding structures and, quite honestly, our policies allow us to do in schools. We did not hear about more tutoring. We did not hear about the need for more test prep. Not that those things aren't important, but we had many of those things available already for our students. What we heard from our students who graduated and from our students who dropped out were the barriers they believed were getting in the way of their achievement. Transiency, family changes, poverty, immigration, addiction, and mental, emotional, social, physical health. Within the structure and the confines of the bricks and mortar high school, we typically do not have the resources or the expertise to address those 6 barriers, and the work of the Graduate Marietta Student Success Center was launched. In our first year, we delivered over $1 million in resources and services back to our families in our community, and we did that through partnering with 37 state agencies and nonprofits. We also did it through building a framework of resiliency, where we hoped to help our students discover within themselves a sense of hope, a sense of belonging, a sense of worth, and a future focus, a sense of purpose. Our 4-year graduation rate is up 16 points, or 27%, since 2011, and our 5-year graduation rate, which I believe is equally as important, because those are students who are off track, is up 23 points, or 38%, since 2011. We've done that by meeting the needs of our students and building a culture of hope. I want to thank our staff and our partners and our donors who have helped us create what is now the Graduate Marietta Student Success Center. Adults get up here a lot of times and tell you what works great for kids, but the center was designed by our students. So we have 2 students here today, Adriana Bridges and Chandler Patterson, and they're going to come up and tell you just a little bit about the Student Success Center and why they believe it's an innovation that should be carried out in other schools.
Good morning. My name is Adriana Bridges, and I am a 10th grade student at Marietta High School, and I'm here to talk about why the Success Center is an idea for other high schools. The Graduate Marietta Student Success Center is a great opportunity for students to engage in activities that will help them in the future. The Success Center holds activities such as college visits, career assistance, a clothing pantry, and more. Some of these things are things that students need in order to succeed. Other schools should consider opening a Student Success Center because some of the things that we offer aren't available at home or the household cannot provide. We come to school to learn new things and open new opportunities, and the Student Success Center helps us do this. This program is needed because some individuals can't learn as well in regular classroom environment, and the Success Center is a center that is filled with assistance and educational tools. When they ask teachers for help, sometimes they don't understand what we really need. With this center, they are able to attend to every single individual's needs. My favorite part of the Marietta Student Success Center is the clothing pantry. I have used the clothing pantry many times, and I also volunteer there as well. When I volunteer, I help separate donated clothes and help students find what they need as well. For example, it was time to go to homecoming, and some students didn't have anything to wear. There were some dresses available for them, and I gave them some advice for the dance. This gives me an opportunity to engage with other students and really have a chance to make new friends. When students get suspended, they are gone for maybe weeks at a time, and they are missing all their schoolwork. Missing schoolwork means that they fall behind in all their classes. I had a friend of mine who always got in trouble. Once the center opened, he could go there instead of getting suspended. That really helped them. This student is now an honor roll student and is now graduating on time. I thank the Success Center for helping him out and giving him another second chance in life. This program isn't just a program that the school has to help students. This gives students opportunities. An opportunity to be a better person, get a better understanding of life, and take life for what it is. Personally, the Success Center helped me keep my perfect discipline record. I always come here to stay out of trouble, get my work done, and help others with some of the problems that I needed help with. The Graduate Marietta Success Center puts success in my successful.
Good morning. My name is Chandler Patterson, and I am an international baccalaureate student, varsity cheerleader, and a senior at Marietta High School. After graduation in May, I hope to begin my career within the United States military. I am excited to be here today and to talk about the Graduate Marietta Student Success Center. I feel the Student Success Center has been making a huge difference from the start of this program. Our center has helped students overcome barriers they are facing within high school. This program has positively impacted my self-awareness and my leadership ability. The Success Center has taught me the skill of asking for help and has helped me become an advocate for my peers. Within a center, I can help guide students in finding someone with the experience or expertise to fulfill their needs. This center puts countless smiles on student faces as they walk through the school every day. Other schools should consider opening a student success center because it provides all the type of resources a student might need during their 4 years of high school. The reason our school knew how to create this center was because they asked us, the students. We answered and we helped design what is now the GMSSC, which stands for the Graduate Marietta Student Success Center. We have tutoring and mentoring programs, a closed closet food pantry for both students and families can use. We also have yoga classes to help reduce with stress, individual, group, and family therapy, and we have a student cafe where our culinary students provide cooking demonstration, tasting, and snacks after school. The center at our school provides academic support, career and college counseling, behavioral and life skill training, and we are surrounded by a community member who provides services from many different organizations. I believe the most important result from the center is that our students are becoming more motivated to take the initiative for the success within our school and their personal life. I am proud to be here today and to see the center receive this recognition because I know the Student Success Center has created a closer connection between our community, our staff, and our students and families. Thank you.
Emily, so good to see you. Appreciate it. Great seeing you. Yes, sir. Good. You want to recognize you. We'd like to recognize on the floor of the Senate right now our illustrious, distinguished Rules Chairman in the House, Mr. Meadows, John Meadows. Please give him a round of applause. He always does a great job. We have another special group we'd like to recognize. Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 179 by Senator Huffstetler the 52nd, a resolution honoring and recognizing Calhoun City Schools for being named the 2016 Charter System of the Year and for other purposes. Whereas in 2016, Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle named Calhoun City Schools as the 2016 Charter System of the Year, and whereas Calhoun City Schools have demonstrated excellence in leadership, governance, partnerships, and achievements, and whereas Calhoun City Schools play an instrumental role in the charter system community by mentoring other charter systems while encouraging their own teachers, parents, and community members to actively participate in school-level governance, and whereas Calhoun City Schools boast a 95% graduation rate, and along with every other state-approved charter system, outperform their traditional public school counterparts in every academic milestone, and whereas Calhoun City Schools utilize the flexibility of its charter status to redefine the classroom such that space and time constraints no longer inhibit students' learning environments. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body honor and recognize Calhoun City Schools for being awarded the title of 2016 Charter System of the Year and for its dedicated service to the community and state. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. It is a great honor to recognize our Calhoun County College and Career Academy System of the Year. Calhoun has done such a wonderful job, and if you look at the measurements and the improvements by which they're demonstrating for all of their students, it is quite remarkable. They are truly one of our exemplary schools within our state, and it's a great honor to honor them here today. To do so, I call upon the distinguished senator from the 52nd to recognize our special guest.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's great to be here. As he told you, our Rules Chairman Meadows is over here. I remember many years ago when he was the mayor of Calhoun. So I think he's here to keep an eye on me and make sure I do this right. I did want to also recognize before we started, I know we've got some Gordon Calhoun leadership here today. If you guys would stand up that are in the balcony. Great to have y'all here. You know, the Calhoun City Schools, and I, of course, feel like I've got the greatest Senate district for education there is, but they have long been a leader. They have always focused on academics, athletics, and arts, being successful in all three. And the accomplishments that they've had up there, and in this district, I think at one time we had 25% of the college and career academies have been a leader in implementing a lot of the lieutenant governor's passion in education and have been successful at it and has proven that it works. It's hard for me to keep up with these guys sometimes. I've got a resolution here recognizing them, and one of the things it talks about is their 95% graduation rate. Well, I'm outdated. They're up to 96.8% graduation rate right now. They're staying ahead of us in a lot of areas. And I would like to introduce to you Dr. Michelle Taylor, the superintendent, who in 2014 was the superintendent of the year in Georgia, and let her address y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hofstetler. If I could ask Representative Meadows to come up here on the stage, please. Please, can you do that? Because he was a graduate of Calhoun High School. He is a part of our community. He's a part of our Calhoun City Schools family, and we appreciate Representative Meadows and your support. Would you please come and join us? No, he can't do that? Okay. Okay. Well, we'll allow you to stand right there and wave at us. But we are very proud of our school district and so proud of our community and its support, and I appreciate the Chamber leadership, Calhoun-Gordon County group that's here today, because they're learning so much about education and our state government and the support that the state government also gives to education. And we could not do what we do without the support of our Lieutenant Governor, Casey Cagle, and Irene Munn in the Lieutenant Governor's office, and our senators. You all really do support us, and we appreciate your efforts as well as the House of Representatives. We certainly appreciate this opportunity to come and share a little bit about Calhoun City Schools. And while Senator Hofstetler shared our graduation rate was 96.8%, just 12 years ago it was 65%. So how have we moved the needle on school improvement and student achievement? We've embraced our community, really engaged them to make sure that they're there to support us each and every step of the way. With the charter flexibility, it's given us an opportunity to really be more innovative and to think outside the box. Again, we could not do that without Lieutenant Governor's help in making sure that charter systems have the support that they need to truly think outside the box, to think of ways that we can encourage our families to get connected through our college and career academy efforts, to really make sure that we're preparing our students and grabbing them from the cradle to careers and to life. With our college and career academy, we've been innovative in getting our students the opportunities that they need to be well prepared, well skilled, to help the workforce in our community. So it's really given us that opportunity to launch the innovative programs that I think were recognized as our system charter. One of the innovative ideas that we've had that we're launching is making sure that, again, we're grabbing those students out of the cradle. So we're starting a 2-year-old program next year. We're going into our communities. We're finding those students that are already behind before they're 4 years old, getting those students equipped so that they'll be ready to learn. And that's through the efforts of our Teaching as a Profession and our Early Childhood program and our College and Career Academy. So that's one of the innovative things that we're doing, as well as changing our schedule with the flexibility that charter systems allow, making sure that we're looking at what our students need and preparing them for post-secondary opportunities. And to do all of that has been through the efforts of our charter system and that flexibility that we've been afforded. So again, I appreciate all of you. Did want to recognize who I have with me today. We have our chairman of our board, Eddie Reeves, and board members, Tony Swink, secretary, and board member David Scoggins. Also part of our leadership team, we have Dee Risley and Allison Eubanks. And again, appreciate the support of Senator Chuck Payne, who's here, and Senator Hofstetler. So again, can't thank the Lieutenant Governor enough for all that you do to support our schools. We appreciate you, and we thank you for all that you do.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 42nd. 42nd to recognize a special group in the gallery.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I am so honored to recognize another distinguished and special group that we have with us here today. The Georgia Psychological Association is here with us today, and as a matter of fact, they are hosting a mind and body health fair downstairs. So I hope that you will stop by. Of course, the role that psychologists play in our communities is so critical. As we know, mental diseases are not as apparent as physical diseases, and they can be, therefore, in many ways, far more devastating. The role they are playing in ensuring that our kids are ready to learn and our communities are ready to work and be healthy is so appreciated by all of us. And so at this time, I'd like to ask the members of the Georgia Psychology Association to please stand in the gallery, and please join me in giving them a warm welcome. Thank you, Mr. President.
Secretary will read a resolution as we recognize another special group.
Senate Resolution 183 by Senator Guccia, the 51st, a resolution recognizing and congratulating Taylor Burrell, Miss Apple Capital 2017, and for other purposes. Whereas Miss Apple Capital is a Miss America preliminary pageant, which is the largest provider of scholarships to young women, and Taylor Burrell will represent LJ in the North Georgia area at the Miss Georgia pageant held in Columbus, Georgia this June. And whereas her other titles include Miss Arlington's Outstanding Teen 2013, Miss Fayette County's Outstanding Teen 2015, and many others. And whereas this remarkable sophomore and Dean's List student has earned distinction as a biology major at the University of West Georgia and a member of its honor college, and was nominated to represent the University of West Georgia at the Congress of Future Medical Leaders in 2015. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize Taylor Burrell for her contributions to the state of Georgia, congratulate her on winning the title of Miss Apple Capital 2017, and express sincere best wishes for continued success. In Senate Resolution 198 by Senator Guccia, the 51st, a resolution recognizing and commending Chandler Sherry upon being named Miss Apple Capital's Outstanding Teen 2017 and for other purposes, whereas in August 2016, Chandler Sherry won the title of Miss Apple Capital's Outstanding Teen, and she will represent LJ in the North Georgia area at the annual Miss Georgia's Outstanding Teen pageant in June. And whereas for the pageant, her platform is "It's Your Future, Vote on It," to educate children and teens about the importance of voting and to register young people to vote. And whereas this remarkable junior at Walton High School has earned distinction, and whereas she has served as a chair for the National Day of Service Children's Miracle Network, has raised more than $10,000 for the Fragile Kids Foundation birthday program as their ambassador, has performed more than 1,000 hours of community service. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize and commend Chandler Sherry upon being named Miss Apple Capital's Outstanding Teen 2017 and wish her continued success. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? Chair is none, and the resolution is adopted. It is a great honor to have our beauty queens with us today, and to recognize our special guest. I call upon the somewhat lacking of beauty, the senator from the 51st.
Somehow I resemble that remark. Good morning. It's my pleasure to be with you this morning. The Miss Apple Capital pageant is a preliminary pageant in the Miss America system held annually in LJ, Georgia. This is the third year that I've had the privilege of recognizing the reigning Miss Apple Capital and the Miss Apple Capital's Outstanding Teen in the State Senate. This year's title holders, Taylor Burrell, Miss Apple Capital, and Chandler Sherry, Miss Apple Capital's Outstanding Teen, will be representing LJ and North Georgia at the Miss Georgia and Miss Georgia's Outstanding Teen pageants, respectively, in Columbus, Georgia this June. Miss Apple Capital and the Miss America pageant provide scholarships for title holders and encourage them to promote a platform or social cause that teaches contestants the value of giving back to their communities. Today, in addition to recognizing Taylor and Chandler for their accomplishments, we would also like to recognize their parents and the Miss Capital board members seated in the gallery. Please welcome the parents of these young ladies behind me. They're in the gallery. Now I'm excited to have Taylor and Chandler represent the 51st District in the Miss Georgia pageant in June, and I hope you'll join me as we welcome them to the microphone. First, we'll have some brief comments from Chandler.
Good morning. My name is Chandler Sherry, and I'm Miss Apple Capital's Outstanding Teen. I am a 17-year-old junior at Walton High School in Marietta, and my platform through the Miss America organization is called It's Your Future, Vote on It, where I help register our younger generation to vote, and I educate our younger children about the importance of our political system. And I think it's very crucial that our younger generation stays politically active, because we are the ones that will be affected by the decisions that are made right here, right now, today. And overall, I would just like to thank you for your service for our state of Georgia and for everything you do for our community. Thank you.
And now please welcome Taylor Burrell.
Good morning. My name is Taylor Burrell, and I'm Miss Apple Capital. I'd like to also start by thanking you all for your service. I am an 18-year-old sophomore at the University of West Georgia, where I am a biology major. And I have been involved in the Miss America organization for the past 8 years, where it's afforded me many incredible opportunities like this one today. I promote a platform which is called Animal Cruelty Awareness and Prevention, where I let everyone know about the signs and ways to prevent animal cruelty, and also fight for legislation to make sure that animals receive the rights that they truly deserve. And I'm so honored to be here, and I thank you all so very much.
We have another special group we'd like to recognize at this time. Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 213 by Senators Kirk of the 13th, Harper of the 7th, and Walker of the 20th, and others. A resolution recognizing the annual Cordele Chris County Fish Fry and for other purposes. Whereas the members of the Georgia General Assembly have come to eagerly anticipate the annual Cordele Chris County Fish Fry, which will be held on Wednesday, February 15, 2017, and whereas certain urban legislators, long deprived of real country cooking, have resided for too many days within the confines of the metro area and longing for the taste of fried catfish and hush puppies, are hereby presented the opportunity to satisfy their cravings, and whereas it is fitting and proper to recognize and commend these dedicated civic leaders for rescuing those urban legislators from unexciting food fare and bringing a taste of home to rural legislators by hosting this delicious event. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize the Cordele Chris County Fish Fry and Cordele City Commission, the Board of Commissioners of Chris County, the Cordele Chris Industrial Development Authority, the Cordele Chris Chamber of Commerce, and commend the Cordele Chris County Fish Fry cooking team. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. It's always great to have Cordele and Chris County here with us today, and they have a wonderful fish fry that all of us enjoy, providing wonderful leadership to their community. To speak to the resolution, it's my honor now to call upon the distinguished senator from the 13th.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. On your desk, you've got a little something from Cordele. Please take that and make it and put it to use. It sticks to your phone. You put business cards in, credit cards, whatever. But also tonight, basically what this resolution says, we've been cooped up in this building too long. We need some good cooking. And one thing I can tell you, down south, we know how to cook barbecue and we know how to fry fish. So you come over to the depot tonight and enjoy the fish fry. I want to present this resolution to Ms. Kimberly Reed, Chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. Please join me in honoring them. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 29th on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to return to a topic that I had discussed a few days ago, and that is the issuance of Georgia driver's licenses to illegal aliens. There's been quite a bit of back and forth with the Department of Driver Services. I'm sure many of you have received some talking points, and I must congratulate them on sort of perfecting the art of Washington doublespeak, because when you boil this down, here's what's going on. Someone who is an illegal alien, who has no lawful status to be in the United States, is being issued a Georgia driver's license. Now, the subset of illegal aliens that are receiving these driver's licenses are those who the previous federal administration said, we're not going to prosecute and we're not going to deport. So the position that's being taken now is that, well, once the federal government says we're not going to deport you, that confers legal status. That is not true. Even President Obama admitted the fact that an executive order cannot confer lawful status on someone who has no such status to be in the country. So we have at last count over 26,000 folks who fall into this category. If someone commits the crime of shoplifting and the prosecutor decides, I'm not going to file charges, that does not mean the person ceases to be a shoplifter. And so it is the same when it comes to the status of being an illegal alien. So make no mistake about it. Georgia has and continues to issue driver's licenses that are virtually identical to the driver's license in your wallet and mine to people who have no lawful status to be in the country. The same driver's license that is used to rent vehicles, the same driver's license that is presented to purchase explosives, the same driver's license that is used as identification to register to vote, that same driver's license has been issued 26,000 times to people who have no lawful status to be in the United States. And when you boil down all that doublespeak, there can be no disagreement on that simple and plain fact. And it will continue unless and until this General Assembly acts to end the issuance of driver's licenses to illegal aliens. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 34th. 34th on a point of personal privilege. 34th, you wishing to be recognized? 34th, are you wishing to be recognized? You're recognized this time.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. I rise for Black History Month. Ed Johnson grew up in a tough area of New Orleans and graduated from L.B. Landry High School in 1973. He attended Dillard University and graduated in 1978 with a bachelor's in biology. He then entered the Naval Aviation Officers Candidate School in Pensacola, Florida, and was commissioned as an ensign in December 1978. For the next 22 years, Johnson's illustrious career in the Navy involved to include being selected, graduated from, and receiving a Master's of Arts degree from the Naval War College, Command and Staff College. He also received a Master's of Science degree from Salve Regina College in Newport, Rhode Island. During his last 4 years of his Navy career, the naval commander became executive officer of the Atlanta Region Navy Reserve Officer Training Corps in ROTC, consisting of Georgia Institute of Technology, Georgia Tech, and Morehouse College units. He is now a retired naval commander and three-time former president of the Fayette County branch of the NAACP. He became the second black elected to political office in Fayette County in 2012 when he was elected to the council. Johnson is pastor of Flat Rock AME, the oldest black church in Fayette County, and he has committed himself to serve the citizens of Fayette County with dignity, transparency, and integrity. I like to call him Reverend Mayor Ed Johnson of Fayette County, a historian in his own rights and a man who was truly called to serve not only his country, but his county of Fayette. Thanks you, Mr. President. I'll yield the well.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 39th on a point of personal privilege.
Mr. President, members of the Senate, I rise on a point of personal privilege to recognize a group of people who have come to the state capitol this morning to fulfill one of every American's most important rights, that is to petition their government for freedom, justice, and equality. There's a group of people here at the Capitol in their green T-shirts who are called the Economic Justice Day at the Capitol Collaborative. They have been working for the last couple of years to present an agenda for economic justice in Georgia, which includes a $15 an hour minimum wage, an economic equity bill which calls for 30% of state business to be provided to minority businesses, building on the success of HB 170 of 2015, and taking the long view of economic development. They are supportive of Senate Bill 30, a bill that I've authored, calling for community schools, based on the premise that we cannot make economic progress unless we have a well-educated populace. I want to recognize the collaborative, ask them to stand and be recognized. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to working with you. God bless. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 14th on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning to my colleagues here in the Senate. I rise today to state my opposition to SB 79, titled the Destination Resort Act. My main opposition to this legislation is not from a position of moral, although I do believe casino gambling is incredibly harmful to the family unit and will add another incredible strain to families that are already struggling to make ends meet. It's also not because I'm suspicious of the economic growth numbers being touted or the supposed jobs that will be created. I think the assertion that we are losing any conventions to Orlando or New Orleans is incredibly weak. First, do we want to be crime-infested like New Orleans and recapture the distinction as the murder capital of the country that we once held? New Orleans ended 2016 with 175 murders, compared to Atlanta's 111. Over 411 rapes occurred in New Orleans last year compared to Atlanta's under 200. Now let's examine Orlando for just a moment. We're told we need a casino because we're losing convention business to them. That's odd. According to Google, the closest casino to Orlando is 77 miles away in Tampa. It's at the Seminole Hard Rock. You see, my main opposition is that we send a very confusing message to the people of Georgia and around the world. It was not that long ago that we were at the top of the list for sex trafficking, and a report conducted and published in March 13th of 2014 by the Urban Institute for the U.S. Justice Department stated Atlanta ranked number 1 in sex trafficking in the U.S., and the high volume of conventions were to blame. Now, I'm not here to say I want to eliminate or reduce the number of conventions, but what I am saying is that we spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, trying to reduce or eliminate this terrible crime against women and children. And yet statistics show that outside the security perimeter of a casino, the crime grows somewhere between 8 and 15%. Prostitution, assault, and again, human trafficking. The people of Georgia expect us to be good stewards of their tax dollars and to invest this money in a ruse of some sorts to reduce the sex trafficking and human traffic trade, and then with the swoop of a pen, reverse course by allowing an industry to come in and bolster this type of activity is disingenuous. At least we should look the people in Georgia straight in the eye and be honest with them about our intentions. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll yield the well.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 27th on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Senate. I rise on a point of personal privilege to recognize and to honor Hannah Testa. Is she in the gallery? Can you stand up? Recognize her. She's a 14-year-old girl. She's a 14-year-old girl from Forsyth County who is passionate about animals and environmental issues and have an impact on wildlife. She believes that knowledge is power and that through education and awareness she can affect positive change. She founded Hannah for Change to fight for issues that impact the planet and all the animals. Hannah has received numerous honors and awards, including the Captain Planet Foundation Young Superhero for Earth Award, the President's Volunteer Service Award, the Gloria Barron Prize for Young Heroes, the Prudential Spirit of Community Award, and the Pioneer of Sustainability Award by Ted's Montana's Grill. She is a very, very ambitious and passionate young woman about this planet, and particularly about plastic. Anybody who's been to Ted Montana's Grill know they have the paper straws. That's because of the efforts of Miss Hannah Tesla. She went out there and convinced them to use paper straws instead of plastic straws. And also she has an exhibit down on the first floor about plastic and the pollution that it can cause. There's also some mermaids down there. So anybody interested in checking out some mermaids, we welcome you to come down to the first floor, I believe it's room 123, and see what Hannah is all about. There's also several other people supporting her here today. Again, we have Ted Montana's Grill, Keep Forsyth Beautiful, Georgia Waters Coalition, and Georgia Restaurant Association. So thank you, Testa, and with that I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 2nd. Senator from the 2nd on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I rise to give you an update of the senator from the 35th. As many of you know, the senator from the 35th has been in hospital for the past 8 days. She's doing extremely well now. She's still is in Atlanta Medical Hospital. She may be coming home today if the doctors if she still recovers. She want to thank all of you for the many flowers and the many phone calls and the many flower and many food baskets that you've given her. She's just trying to get stronger. So I'm just here to say thank you for all the well wishes. Let's keep the senator from the 35th in your prayers, and hopefully we'll see her soon. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 25th on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I rise today on a point of personal privilege. As many of you know, I don't do this on many occasions, but I stand here today as an alumni of the University of Georgia and a former letterman, and wanted to recognize one of our own who was lost in a tragic accident this past weekend, Quentin Moses, who was a star athlete at the University of Georgia, all SEC, captain of the football team for the University of Georgia, as well as a professional football player for the Miami Dolphins, was killed in the city of Monroe in an accidental fire tragedy, house fire. And just I wanted to take this moment to recognize someone who is not only a fine person, not only a great athlete, but just a man of God who walked. He was always a person that was in a outstanding mood. I never saw him in a bad or disgruntled mood at all. And probably one of the biggest testaments to his life was the fact that he didn't have any children of his own, nor was he married, but he had three different families, three different close friends that considered him a godfather to their children. And because that's how much they entrusted him and what he did and what he represented in his life. And at this time, Mr. President, if you'll allow, I'd just like to take a moment of silence here in the Senate to recognize a fine Georgian and individual.
Let me have the Senate's attention. Senator in the well has requested a moment of silence. Let us pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
You have a consent calendar of privilege resolutions that is before you. Is there objection? Without objection, the consent calendar privilege resolutions are therefore adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw or commit? We have a local consent calendar that is before you, Ms. Secretary. Are there any filed objections on any of the local consent calendar?
Mr. President, there are no objections filed.
Is there objection? Agree and report to committee on the state and local governmental operations which fail will pass the bill. All those in favor of the local consent calendar will vote aye. Those opposed no. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the local consent calendar, the yeas are 49 and the nays are 0, and all the bills on the local consent calendar are therefore adopted. Moving on to the general calendar. Secretary will read Senate Bill 45.
Senate Bill 45 by Senator Walker of the 20th and others. A bill to be entitled Act to Amend Part 3 of Article 3 of Chapter 11 of Title 16 of OCGA relating to invasions of privacy so as to prohibit the use of a device to film under or through a person's clothing under certain circumstances and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass by substitute, submitted by Senator Stone of the 23rd. Mr. President, the Senate Judiciary Committee offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 45, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Part 3 of Article 3 of Chapter 11, Title 16 of the OCGA relating to invasions of privacy so as to prohibit the use of a device to film under or through a person's clothing under certain circumstances and for other purposes. That concludes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 20th to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I come before you today to ask you to update our decades-old Invasion of Privacy Act to protect the privacy of the citizens of Georgia in light of modern technology such as camera, cell phones, and other type devices. What brought this to my attention and to the public's attention, and we had a grocery store, a 24-year-old grocery store clerk in Houston County, where I live, following a woman through the grocery store and unbeknownst to her, surreptitiously taking pictures up her dress with his cell phone camera. Initially, he acted like he was bending down to tie his shoe. He then followed her through the store, and she was reaching to get some groceries off the top shelf. He took a picture again. The security cameras caught this, and he apparently took at least 4 pictures. He was convicted charged by our district attorney and convicted. The Georgia Appeals Court later overruled the conviction for the reason that our code does not specifically state that this would be unlawful in a public place. We have law on the books that would make it unlawful on a private place, but they determined that the law did not state that you had the expectation of privacy in a public place. So what this bill does, if a person 16 years of age or older knowingly and without consent of the person observed uses a device to take pictures underneath their clothing for the purpose of viewing intimate body parts or the undergarments worn by such person, it would make that a criminal act. Be charged as a felony. With the discretion of the judge, it could be reduced to a misdemeanor. I ask for your favorable consideration of this bill, please, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 33rd for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to let you know I took a peek at this bill, and it's a good bill.
Thank you, Senator. This is a serious matter. This situation has happened in several different parts of the state. I've become aware of that after it happened in Houston County, and it is a serious matter. It's a bipartisan measure, and I appreciate the bipartisan support for the bill. The Senate Judiciary Committee worked with me to help me perfect the bill. I appreciate their help, and it was passed out of the committee unanimously.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 34th.
Mike's not Harry. Senator, will you yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Senator, would you agree with me, boys will be boys?
Well, I think there's some truth to that, although this type of behavior is very, I believe, egregious and reprehensible and and should be criminal.
Let me clarify the reason for my question. Does this bill incarcerate or do the penalties for a young boy that may be fourth grade?
It only applies to individuals 16 years of age or older.
Thank you, Ms. Senator.
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
So y'all remember the
Chair recognizes Senator 31st for a question. 31st.
Does Senator yield?
Yes, sir.
On line 17, it defines a person as an individual who's 16 years of age or older. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then in the bill, it refers to an individual who knowingly does these things. Would an individual and a person be the same?
Yes, sir.
So why would we permit someone under 16 to video up someone's skirt?
Well, that would go under the juvenile court statutes. It's a whole different code section related to juveniles.
But you would agree under this code section, it does grant that permission to someone who's under 16?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Let me ask you one other question. Lines 34 and 35 state that says this code section shall not apply to a retailer who surveils a customer changing room, provided that signage conspicuously warns a customer of the retailer's surveillance. So if a clothing store had one entrance and on the door was a sign that said, "These premises are videotaped for security purposes," would that allow that store to videotape the changing rooms?
I think you would have to be more conspicuous than that.
If it
and
was a
have
big sign?
I think you would have to have signage in the dressing room or on the entrance to the dressing room. That's my opinion, Senator. We did not want to make it unlawful for security cameras to be in retail or stores because of shoplifting, to deter shoplifting. And the security cameras are not aimed up your skirt. They're not mounted typically on the floor, aimed up your skirt or up your, with the purpose of viewing your intimate body parts.
But you would agree that a changing room is generally perceived as a private place, or otherwise they would not be changing rooms, right?
Well, I think if you have the conspicuous signage, you would be forewarned that it's not totally private.
So a sign on the front door in large letters that said, "All premises are surveilled for security purposes," would be conspicuous in your
Again, I don't think that's conspicuous enough. I would think the retailer would need to have it on the entrance door or whatever to the changing room.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator 23rd for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
The definition of person on line 17, having to be a person 16 years of age or older, isn't it true that that is the victim's age and it's that set at that age level because any victim younger than that could not give consent?
I'm sure that you are correct.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Would the senator further yield?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that this was on the legislative agenda of the Youth Assembly?
Yes, sir. It certainly was.
And isn't it true that the idea for this came from that esteemed body?
They recognize this as a problem that they sought to address in their mock assembly, their youth assembly, and it passed the Youth Assembly Senate, Youth Assembly House, and the youth governor signed it. Yes, sir.
And this just brings a law to what everybody thought it was before the appellate courts got a hold of it?
Yes, sir. I think the general public was pretty shocked that it was not already against the law.
Thank you.
Chair
Thank you.
recognizes Senator from the 33rd again.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
Yes, sir.
I think it's a good bill, but I just wanted you to kind of help me to think through something, because I used to work with kids in a high school, and you know, sometimes kids will do dumb things. And I was wondering, at such a young age, was it taken into consideration that maybe the first time a misdemeanor, second time maybe, you know, felony, or maybe?
Well,
I just want to hear your thinking through on that.
I'll bring to your attention or point you to line 29, 27 through 30, actually. Any individual convicted of violating this code section shall be guilty of a felony, so on and so forth, or in the discretion of the court as for misdemeanor. I think we have, in my mind, we sort of have two categories of potential folks here. We have the young person that maybe sees it as a prank, and I would not expect them to be convicted of a felony. And then you have, and as the case in Houston County, you have a 24-year-old, and you might be identifying a sexual predator type person. So I think we need to err on the side of protection for our citizens when you're dealing with this type of reprehensible behavior.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the senator yield?
Yes, sir.
Senator, I worked on you with this bill in committee, and I just noticed something that I wanted to bring to your attention and make sure you were aware of as well. When we started talking about the definition of the word individual, are you aware that the word person, are you aware that a person in line 17 is described as a person who is under the age of 16, an individual under the age of 16?
Yes, sir.
If you look on the line right below that, it says it shall be unlawful for any individual to do this. And I believe earlier you stated that you thought that this statute only applied to someone under the age of 16. Is that correct?
Well, what I was told by the prosecuting attorneys was that if they were under the age of 17, they would be charged under the juvenile statute, and the juvenile court would administer any kind of punishment.
When the senator from the 23rd was speaking earlier, I think he said that the word person and age 16 applied to the victim. Do you remember?
Yes,
that?
yes, sir.
Did you intend for the word person and the age 16 to apply to the alleged perpetrator?
Honestly, that's what I thought it was saying, but I'm comfortable with the bill, and I asked for
If you thought that's what it was saying, would you consider an amendment that would change the words on line 18 and on line 27 that say individual? Would you consider an amendment to change those words to person as well?
Senator,
I don't mean to ambush
I'm not
you,
an
I'm sorry.
attorney, so I don't really know. Is what they told me about the juvenile court accurate? That there's other sections of the code that deal with youth, and that's handled differently, and it would not even apply to this. I'm asking the question. I don't actually know the answer to that.
Thank you. I'll discuss it and see if I can.
Does the senator from the 3rd know?
Chair recognizes Senator from the 40th for a question. 40th for a question.
Gentleman yield.
Help me out on that.
Gentleman yield.
On juveniles.
Third time. Gentleman yield.
Yes.
Senator in the will.
Thank you. Isn't it true? I think you answered it. Really, it's going to be up to the discretion of the solicitor or the prosecuting attorney if they're going to even charge a young person. So, I mean, theoretically, isn't it true that the way the bill is written, you could charge a 6-year-old, but that's not the intent of this. And the prosecutors are in favor of this bill, are they not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So they are in favor of this bill, and it's intended to get people that really are improper behavior who should know better.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Senator.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 45th.
Was Senator Yale?
Yes, ma'am.
Senator, isn't it true that while this language might not be as clear as you'd like it to be, that it's going to be going to the House and you'll be having hearings in the House. And if any language needs to be perfected to clear up about who a person is, that you could do that, that it's better to move this bill along?
I would agree, Senator. Thank you very much. And it did pass unanimously in the Judiciary Committee. Sorry this issue wasn't brought up at that time.
No further questions, Senator.
I am amenable to the senator from the 19th if he wants to submit an amendment. Thank you very much.
Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection? Without objection, committee substitute is adopted. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agree and report of committee which fail pass the bill. Chair is none. Report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chair is none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Question on the pass the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote aye. Those opposed no. Secretary unlock the machine. On the pass of the bill, the yeas are 49, the nays are 0, and this bill happens to record constitutional majority is therefore adopted. Chair recognizes Senator from the 30th.
Mr. President, I move the Senate immediately transmit House Bill 272 to the House.
Immediate transmittal on a local bill. Read the caption. Is there objection? Without objection, the bill will be immediately transmitted to the House. Secretary will read Senate Bill 46.
Senate Bill 46 by Senator Ligon III and others, a bill to be entitled Act to amend Title 51 of the OCGA relating to torts so as to provide for the facilitation of space flight activities in the state, provide for definitions, provide for exceptions to limit the liability of space flight entities related to injuries sustained by participants who have agreed in writing to such a limitation and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Science and Technology recommends that this bill do pass by substitute, submitted by Senator Thompson of the 14th.
I'm sorry.
Mr. President, the Senate Science and Technology Committee offers the following substitute: Senate Bill 46, a bill to entitle Act to amend Title 51 of the OCGA relating to torts so as to provide for the facilitation of spaceflight activities in the state, provide for definitions, to provide for exceptions, to limit the liability of spaceflight entities relating to injury sustained by participants who have agreed in writing to such a limitation and for other purposes. That concludes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 3rd. Present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 46 provides a limitation of liability for space flight entities that are providing space flight services in accordance with federal aviation guidelines. It insulates them from claims brought by passengers who are aboard the spacecraft. Such a passenger or his family would not be able to recover damages for injury or death under the ordinary standard of negligence, but would only be able to recover if they could prove gross negligence or some willful misconduct. In order for this change in standard of liability to apply, the participant has to sign a written waiver. The waiver has to be provided to the person 24 hours in advance. They must also sign off on all other federally required waivers. In essence, the bill is basically making it clear that a participant is assuming the liability for riding on a rocket in case of an accident. This bill was recommended by the Senate Study Committee, which researched this matter and heard evidence on it over the course of the past year. I wanted to thank the senator from the 14th, the 18th, and the 34th for their help with this. We also want to thank representatives from Georgia Tech and the aerospace on their hard work. Well, why is this bill important? Well, the space industry is growing. There's a lot of global demand for it in placing satellites into space. There's also research where companies are looking at producing pharmaceuticals and other products in a weightless environment. There's space exploration. And yes, there are some that are even looking at tourism for space. At the committee meetings, we learned that this is a $30 billion industry and it's growing. And according to our Georgia Department of Economic Development, the aerospace industry in Georgia has an impact of around $50 billion a year. We have the resources in the state to attract this growing industry. We have Georgia Tech, which has one of the finest aerospace programs in the nation. We're also host to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration's Regional Education Resource Center, which provides educational resources for K through 12 children. Georgia is also a good spot for potential space launches. Our proximity to the equator makes it very efficient to launch vehicles into space. We have the potential site for a vertical launch site where you launch satellites and rockets into space in the traditional method down in Camden County. It's currently under review and study with the FAA. We also have the potential for horizontal launches where rockets are attached to airplanes. They fly out over the ocean and launch the rockets into space. In fact, there's a company in it that's based out of Atlanta that is actually doing that, but their launches occur down at Cecil Field in Jacksonville, and we would like for them to come to Georgia. The growing demand for this is because in the federal launch sites, their capacity is being taken up by the government, and it's pretty much maxed out. And we're seeing some states get into this field. There are 8 states that have private launch sites. In those states that have those launch sites, they have passed bills like this, and it's a signal to the industry that you're open to them and that you want to encourage that activity in your state. Mr. President, that's all I have. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Chair recognizes the minority leader, the senator from the 41st for a question. Senator from the 41st, you wish to ask a question?
Senator Yield, can you tell us how this differs from like an airline? Would you be allowed to go on a regular airline carrier and sign a form saying that you hold them harmless?
No, you cannot do that because the terms are specifically defined, and it's clear that you're launching into space.
Further yield. Would it be okay then? Do you have any concern that the public, by the mere fact that you're able to pay to get on there, has the expectation of safety, that they have an expectation that government would not allow them to get on a craft unless there was a reasonable standard in place that their survival would be likely?
Well, I think the bill recognizes that space flight is inherently dangerous. Certainly the FAA regulates every aspect of this to try to ensure safety of everyone, including the participants. But there is a significant amount of risk. And like I said, it acknowledges that with the change in the standard of liability from ordinary negligence to gross negligence, again, only for those that are participating in riding the rocket. So.
No further questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection? Without objection, committee substitute is adopted. Now, does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agree in the report of committee which fail pass the bill. Chairs none. Report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chairs none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Question is on the pass the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote aye. Those opposed no. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49, the nays are 2, and this bill item C-Rex constitutional majority is therefore adopted. Secretary will read Senate Bill 89.
Senate Bill 89 by Senator Schaefer of the 48th and others. The bill is being titled Act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 2 of Title 32 of the OCGA relating to officers in the Department of Transportation so as to provide for state investment in railways and railroad facilities and equipment and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Transportation recommends that this bill do pass by substitute, submitted by Senator Beach of the 21st. The Senate Transportation Committee offers the following substitute: Senate Bill 89, a bill to title an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 2 of Title 32 of the OCGA relating to officers in the Department of Transportation so as to provide for state investment in railways, railroad facilities, and equipment, and for other purposes. That concludes the order.
Chair recognizes the distinguished President Pro Tem of the Senate, the senator from the 48th from Gwinnett County.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, it's my privilege to present Senate Bill 89, the Georgia Right Track Act. This legislation creates within the Georgia Department of Transportation the Georgia Freight Railroad Program. It's designed to create a framework for the state investing in our already state-owned railway network. We've made a substantial investment as a state in the deepening of the Savannah Harbor. That's going to result in more trailer traffic through the harbor, and that will result in more trailer traffic throughout the state. I believe that appropriate investments in rail will help relieve traffic congestion on our interstates and roads, and also extend the economic development benefits of the port throughout Georgia. The legislation in front of you has the support of the Georgia Department of Transportation, the Georgia Ports Authority, the Railroad Association, and the unanimous do-pass recommendation of the Senate Transportation Committee. I urge your favorable consideration, and if there are no questions, I will yield the well.
No questions, Senator. Thanks for your good work on protecting the railways and railroad facilities of our great state. Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to adoption of the committee substitute? Chair is none. Any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agree to report of committee which fail pass the bill. Chair is none. Report of committee is agreed to. All those in favor of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49 and the nays are 0, and this bill, having received requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Chair recognizes the majority leader, Senator from the 46th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Thursday, February 16th.
10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Read the announcements.
Rules will meet upon adjournment at 4:50 at the Capitol. Insurance and Labor will meet at 1 p.m. in the Mez. Natural Resources and the Environment will meet at 1 p.m. and 4:50 at the Capitol. Finance will meet at 2 p.m. and 1:25 at the Capitol. Education and Youth will meet at 2 p.m. and 3:07 at CLB. Agriculture and Consumer Affairs will meet at 3 p.m. and 4:50 at the Capitol. Banking and Financial Institutions will meet at 3 p.m. and 3:10 at the CLB. State and Local Government Operations has been canceled. Judiciary Subcommittee B will meet at 4 p.m. and 3:07 at CLB. That concludes the order.
Are there any other announcements? The majority leaders move. We stand adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes clearly have it. We stand adjourned.